So this is what you thought having her home from school would be like.
Poppy, what's this lava lamp? Poppy, what building is this? Poppy, what are we gonna build this? Can we build this now? Please, 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 please. Poppy, what are these badges all for? Poppy, look at me. How much money is in here? Can we play with the R2D2, please, please? What are all these things for? Poppy, what is this called?
That's called the dead cat.
What? Oh, Cashew. Now let me ride it. Poppy, let's have a lightsaber fight. Boo, 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 boo. Disco Punch! Poppy, what are you doing?
Aren't you supposed to be coloring?
Now looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche, we're on the run, this is what we waited for.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So Azella and I shot that video a couple of days ago. Jennifer went out to train and Azella was out of school, so we sat in my studio. She was supposed to color and was getting up every 5 seconds asking me a different question, and instead of me trying to battle her during the whole time, I decided that let's take this opportunity to learn something together. And so we shot that video and she was part of it. She helped drive the content. She helped come up with the ideas that she wanted to talk about in the video. She came up with standing up on the thing and saying, hey, look at me. She was part of it. And then at the end of that, we sat down and edited the video so she can see what it takes to edit a video. And she was definitely interested because she loves YouTube Kids. And now she knows what it takes to make one of those videos. And of course, now she wants to start her own channel, which will probably do better than mine. Anyway, in this video, I wanted to talk to parents about what you can do to help your students who are home from school. The world is crazy. All our systems are down. You might be working from home for the first time in your life and you're trying to figure it out. And on top of that, now your kids are home from school because there is no school. What can you do? You're not a teacher. You never taught your students. You don't know what to do, and then you're falling apart. The first place we need to start is to understand that we need to focus on our students. I see lots of administrators and officials out there talking about standards and how are we going to meet the balanced scorecard and how are we going to do this and AP test and how are we going to prepare them and all these other things. And that seems to focus on adults. That seems to be, how can we get to seat time? How can we get to these standards? And those are all important things. But I think we need to shut that off for a minute and focus on our students. What is important to our students right now? And we can start with the Maslow hierarchy of needs. Do they have everything they need? Do they have the basic things? Not all students have an opportunity to go home to a space that has 2 caring parents or has food or has toilet paper, for God's sake. So what we need to do is make sure that we're doing everything in our community to support those students. That's the first place we need to start. Some kids count on the food that they get at school as their only meal. And I know lots of educators and administrators are figuring that out, and I commend them for that. As a community is what we should all be concerned in, and that's where we need to start. How do we help those students first? Understand that you are never gonna be able to replicate school in your house. It's just never gonna happen. It's a completely different environment. You have zero experience in doing it. You're not gonna be able to do it. So don't try to take what you think school is, or because you were in 3rd grade 90 years ago, you know what 3rd grade is like, and try to replicate that in the house. Your students have a different world when they go to school. Your teachers and administrators are gonna help you with packages of information that your students need to learn or should be learning or could be learning. Use that. But understand that that's going to be a small amount of time during the day. Even if you filled up their entire curriculum basket, that's still only going to be a couple of hours. So you can't just rely on trying to replicate what the school environment is. That being said, you should have a schedule, and it's okay to have kind of a big loose schedule, something like a guideline. Between 8 in the morning and 11 o'clock, we're going to focus on this. Between 11 and 1, we'll be doing this. Between 1 and 3, this. It's okay to keep a schedule. They're definitely used to having a schedule, so it's good to try to create a schedule at home. And what should your kids be learning at home? It depends on how old they are. It depends on what level they're at. And this is why it's important to focus on the individual student, because there isn't one solution for everyone. For younger students, right? Kindergarten through 2nd grade, 3rd grade maybe, and I have a kindergarten kid at home. What I'm interested in with my student is playing. I want her to play. I want her to have solo play. I want her to play with me. I want her to play with her mom. I want play, play, play. Using her imagination, using creativity. Yes, we're gonna set up time to go through numbers and letters and words and reading and all those things. And then also let them drive their learning. If playing is what they want to do, let them do that. If they love to read and they're reading by themselves, let them read. If they like to write, let them write. Let them drive that learning. If you don't get a lot of opportunities to play with your younger kid, it's fascinating to do that. Also, it's gonna help you, believe it or not. It's gonna help you with your creativity. It's gonna help you with your imagination. You're rigid. You're stuck in your ways. You think you know how the world works, and clearly you don't know how the world works. Letting your kid drive a storyline and just going with it and playing with it so that whales are cops and tricycles are spaceships and Barbie dolls are zombies, whatever it is, let them drive the learning and you go with the flow. It's gonna help you in the long run. And when I say curiosity should drive their learning, there's another level to that as well. Their curiosity is going to give you an opportunity to extend the time it takes you to answer questions. Don't answer questions right away. So when your 5-year-old asks you, hey, where does water come from? Don't answer the question with a faucet. That question can give you 4 hours of content. See how far deep you can dive into each question. Where does water come from? Let's go on a journey. Well, first there's condensation, and then there's evaporation, and then there's precipitation. Is that how it goes? I don't remember how it goes. And then that water comes down from the clouds. Oh, what kind of clouds? Let's talk about clouds. Where do clouds come from? Which direction do clouds go in? And then when that water comes down, it's caught in these things called reservoirs. What's a reservoir? Well, let's look. Do you know we have a dam that's right here that blocks water? What's a dam? Why do we have dams? Why is some water salty and some not? Which way does water flow? Why does it flow that way? You can go deep. Then it goes into a treatment plant. What happens in the treatment plant? What chemicals do they use? How do they know the water is safe? What's fluoride? Why do they put fluoride in the water? What's going on in Flint, Michigan with water? What happens when all that water goes down the drain? Where does it go? Is any of it used again? Is there a difference between the toilet water and the sink water? Why when I go to Mexico or another country, I can't drink the water? See how deep you can go with where does water come from? Don't try to change the subject. So when your kid says, where does water come from? Don't say, no. It says here that we have to learn about space. That's not what they might be interested in. Help them learn how to critically think through those things. Also keep in mind that your younger kids aren't going to be able to express themselves, but they're really going to miss their friends. They've spent all year with the people that they spend the most time with during the week, and then all of a sudden it's gone. One day they were at school, the next day they weren't. There was no like winding down time to get there. It's not the summer. They were just gone. Even though they're with you, they might be lonely because they're not with their friends. They're not spending time. Maybe there's some unresolved issues with their friends and it's hanging over them. If your kids have friends and you know those parents and you have each other's number, try to set up time so that they can FaceTime each other, so that they can talk to each other. Because if you're home from work and you miss your coworkers, imagine what that's like for a 5 or 6-year-old. For the older grades, like grades 4 through 8, and again, these are general, right? These have to be individualized per student, but for that older grade, grades 4 through 8, these are critical times. This is when you either excel or decline. And so we can look at this as a terrible situation, or we can look at this as an opportunity to find those weak areas that our students have and help them be stronger in those spaces. So for example, if your student is bad at math and they're starting to fall behind on math concepts, this is a great opportunity to go back as far as you need to go back. Go back to what they know. Go back to the last time they really got a concept and start there and work your way back up. Have them teach you. Go all the way back to what they're comfortable with and have them start there teaching you and get from that situation to where they're currently at. And I bet you they will learn a lot more that way. And if you don't know something, if you don't know the math, that's fine too. Together, go back to 2 + 2 = 7. Go back to the beginning. Use Khan Academy, use ST Math, use all the programs that are out there to help you and your student learn the math concepts together. Anyone can be good at math. All the tools are available to get you better at it. This is a great catch-up opportunity. And again, I talked about this with the earlier grades. Reading is critical. If all we did during this time, all of us, if all we did is read more, we would all just be smarter. Let them read what they want to read. I know that schools have the 5 books that they're supposed to read. That's great, that's fine. But start with books that they're interested in. And the same is true for writing. And the way you do it is let them read a book, whatever book they want, and then let them write either a 1-page paper on a reflection on what they've read, or even better, at the end of every day or every couple of days, have them tell you what they read about and reflect on it verbally. Storytelling is a critical skill. Most people are terrible at it. And for older students, right, the high school students, this is the toughest crowd. There's some interesting things that you can do here. And one way to connect with this group is to have them teach you. Maybe they took a class this semester, or they're interested in a subject that you know nothing about. The French Revolution, the history of mousetraps, why lightsabers can't be real, the history of the airplane, space and black holes, whatever it is, have them teach you that subject. Go all the way back to the beginning and spend an hour a day having them teach you. This gives them an opportunity to reflect back on what they learned, but also helps you connect with them so that you can ask them questions, because the best way to learn something is teaching it. And I'm gonna keep harping on reading. Again, this is another age category where reading is important. Look, the world is falling apart. I'm thinking about reading The Lord of the Rings right now because I love that world and I kind of want to escape into that world right now. What are they interested in? What's your favorite book? Maybe you can convince your student to read the book that you love. For me, The Stand. I'd love my kids to read The Stand. I'd love to talk to them about The Stand. They can either write a report on it, they can tell you about the book, they can reflect on it. You can also start a mini book club. Find a book that you are both interested in, a subject matter that you're both interested in, and you both read the book. And at the end of the day, or every couple of days, you sit together and you reflect. What is your view of the book? What did you pick up from it? How would you compare it to what's happening today? This also might be a great time to build what I call time machine skills. If you got into a time machine and went back 300 years, what would you teach the people when you came out of the time machine? What skill do you have? You're gonna be like, oh look, they're in the future, we're gonna have these devices in our pockets and they're gonna connect to the internet and all the world's information is going to be right at your fingertips. And they're gonna say, how does that work? And you're gonna be like, I don't know. In the future, we're gonna have electricity. You're just gonna be able to walk in a room. You don't need candles. You're just gonna be able to walk in a room. There's gonna be a little switch in the corner and you're just gonna flip it up and the whole room's gonna be lit up for as long as you want. My God, how do you do that? I don't know, it just works. We're gonna have sinks where you're not gonna have to go to a well and get water out. You just slip those things and the water just comes right out. And it can come out all day. What? How is that possible? Teach us how to do these things. So it's a great opportunity to teach time machine skills. What are they interested in? What are they involved in? If they're really big computer geeks and users, how does the computer work? How does the internet work? How does fiber work? How does Bluetooth work? Which is a mystery to me. And in whatever subject they pick that they learn more about, then at the end of their project, you can pretend like you are from 300 years ago. You're gonna have to do your research for what life was like 300 years ago, and then pretend like they come out of a time machine and they're gonna tell you about something, and then you can ask them a lot of questions about how that thing works and see if they know how that works. And for those students who are on the cusp of figuring out what the rest of their life is gonna look like, whether they're planning on going to college or whether they're going to go into trade school or whether they wanna be an entrepreneur, whatever that is, this is a great opportunity to ask them that question that I often get quoted on. Ask them, what problem do they wanna solve? What's the problem they're passionate about? And you can watch my videos that I've made on this idea of problem solving. They don't have to solve a social problem. It could be anything. And then ask them, how do they wanna solve that problem? How do they wanna take their gifts, their talents, the things they're passionate about to solve that problem? That right there, those two questions can go on with a lot of reflection for a really long time. And then the third question is, what do you need to learn to solve that problem? What are the knowledge, the skills, the abilities, the content, the classes, all the things that are available to you? What are the things you need to know to solve that problem, and how can we start building those skills? Have them come up with a list of resources that they've been able to capture that you can review with them on the things that they need to learn to solve the problem that they're passionate about. Who else is solving that problem now? How do they create a LinkedIn profile or some kind of social profile where they can reach out to those people and connect with them? Everybody's home. Nobody's really working. They say they're working, but they're not working. Reach out to those people on LinkedIn and say, hey, I'm a student at this school and I'm interested in X and I want to learn more about that. What do you think is the most important skill I need to have to do this? Maybe you can do a video chat with them. At the end of the day, when I think about what I want my 5-year-old to learn, it has nothing to do with content. I want my kid to be able to problem solve, critically think, have the ability to learn, be able to collaborate, and have creativity. I don't care what the subjects are. I don't care how many subjects we use to get there. But those are the skills that I want her to have. So as you think about what's the best thing for your student, for your kid, how do you help them develop those critical skills that they're going to need for the future through the subject matter, whether that subject matter is something that the school gives you or something that you come up with or something that they're interested in. How do you help them build those skills while they're learning that material? Because if that's not what we're doing, I don't know what we're doing in education. And as much as humanly possible, please let them drive their learning. They're gonna learn best if it's around subjects and content that they're passionate about or they're interested in. So focus on your students and let them drive that learning. I hope some of these tips help you guys. If you have other ideas, if you wanna add to the list, add them down below so that we can all share what these different ideas are. And everybody just, hang in there. We're gonna get through this. I'll see you guys in the next video.